The monk, the mountain, and the moon. In the heartland of Japan, there was a small village named Kurokawa, nestled amidst the towering mountains. The villagers lived simple lives, working diligently in the fields by day and returning to their humble abodes by night. Kurokawa's tranquility was largely due to its isolation. The outside world seemed a distant and uninviting place to its inhabitants. But the village was known for one thing: the ancient Zen monastery perched on the mountain peak, home to an old monk named Hoshi. Hoshi was renowned for his wisdom, patience, and tranquility. People from far and wide traveled perilous paths to seek his advice. Despite his old age, the monk had an aura of vitality and his eyes sparkled with unfathomable profundity. His favorite spot was the edge of the precipice, where he would sit for hours gazing at the moon. One day, a young man named Hiroshi arrived at the monastery. He was on a quest for enlightenment and had heard of Hoshi's wisdom. With a determined spirit, he climbed the mountain and presented himself before Hoshi, asking to be his disciple. The monk agreed, and Hiroshi began his journey of learning under the old master. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and Hiroshi was diligent in his studies. He meditated, performed chores, and listened to Hoshi's teachings. However, despite his sincere efforts, Hiroshi was unable to grasp the essence of Zen. He felt restless, tormented by the persistent question, what is enlightenment? One night, Hiroshi approached Hoshi, who was gazing at the moon. Master, Hiroshi began, I have been with you for many moons now. I have meditated, worked, and listened, but I still don't understand. What is enlightenment? Hoshi, without taking his gaze off the moon, replied, do you see the moon, Hiroshi? Yes, Master, Hiroshi responded. Good. Now, do you see the mountain? Yes, Master. Very well. Now, do you see yourself? Yes, Master. Hoshi then turned to Hiroshi, enlightenment is seeing the moon, the mountain, and yourself, not as separate entities, but as a single whole. It is the realization of unity amidst diversity, of seeing the interconnectedness of all things. Hiroshi listened, but the concept eluded him. He felt more confused than ever. Days passed, and Hiroshi's restlessness grew. One night, unable to contain his frustration, he decided to leave the monastery and continue his quest elsewhere. He packed his belongings and started descending the mountain. As he descended, the moon began to rise, casting a silver glow on the mountain. Hiroshi paused and looked back. The sight of the moon illuminating the mountain was breathtaking. He saw the monastery at the peak, the village at the foot, the river flowing by, the trees swaying in the breeze, and his own reflection in a nearby pond. Suddenly, a realization dawned upon him. He saw the moon, the mountain, the village, the river, the trees, and himself, not as separate entities but as parts of a single, harmonious whole. Hiroshi stood there, awestruck. He felt a surge of peace and happiness he had never experienced before. He understood Hoshi's words. He saw the interconnectedness of all things, the unity amidst diversity. Overwhelmed with joy, Hiroshi returned to the monastery. Hoshi, who was gazing at the moon as usual, turned to Hiroshi as he approached. Seeing the glow on Hiroshi's face, the old monk smiled, you see it now, don't you, Hiroshi? Hiroshi nodded, yes, Master. I see the moon, the mountain, and myself as one. From that day forth, Hiroshi's understanding of Zen deepened, and he lived in the monastery, spreading the wisdom he had acquired. This Zen story, the monk, the mountain, and the moon, is a reminder of the interconnectedness of all things and the unity amidst diversity. It shines a light on the essence of Zen, the realization of oneness, the dissolution of the ego, and the understanding that everything in the universe is interconnected. The inspiration for this story comes from the fundamental principles of Zen Buddhism and the idea of enlightenment as a profound understanding of the nature of reality. The Zen teachings emphasize direct, experiential realization through meditation and mindfulness. The setting in the picturesque village of Kurokawa, the character of the wise old monk, Hoshi, and the earnest seeker, Hiroshi, are all woven together to bring these teachings to life. The story also subtly explores the themes of patience, perseverance, and the importance of personal experiential understanding. Hiroshi's journey illustrates that enlightenment cannot be hurried, it comes in its own time and often when least expected. In his moment of frustration and decision to leave, Hiroshi experiences the profound realization that he had been striving for, underscoring the idea that enlightenment is not a destination but a deep understanding that can dawn upon us at any moment. The monk, the mountain, and the moon is a metaphorical representation of the journey toward enlightenment. The moon symbolizes enlightenment. The mountain represents the path or the journey, and the monk signifies the seeker. The journey is not always easy, and it often involves periods of doubt and confusion. But it is in persevering through these challenges, the climb up the mountain, that one can reach enlightenment, the moon. Moreover, Hoshi's teaching about seeing the moon, the mountain, and oneself as a single whole is a profound statement about the non-dual nature of reality, a central concept in Zen Buddhism. This non-dual perspective involves seeing beyond apparent differences and recognizing the fundamental unity of all phenomena. Inspired by this story, we can cultivate a sense of oneness, recognizing that we are not separate from the world around us, but intrinsically connected to it. We can strive to see ourselves in others and others in ourselves, promoting empathy, understanding, and unity. The story invites us to embrace the journey of life, with its ups and downs, and to remain open to profound realizations that may come when we least expect them.